it's the first time that I see a film in which one dares to explore the dark side of sports, because in a way, these young kids are treated like products, not like people. But can you explain a little on this is your second film about sports, I think.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about the passion for this topic and why do you like to unveil things like that? And
yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, films come out of a frustration of the existing films, that me as a movie viewer were frustrated by the films that were set in the world of sports, because they so rarely handle what's interesting with sports and the world of sports. I mean, the kind of pressure that these people are under, and also the whole industry around sport and athlete. That's really what I wanted to explore. And I set out to make 3 films that centers around sport and psychology, and also the political layers of this world, where I knew all along that Tigers, this film was supposed to be the one I was going to direct myself, because it was it's the darkest and the filthiest and the most dangerous of them, I'm very interested in that aspect of the soccer industry, that there is, as you say, it's a market where young boys become commodities on the market.
It's like buying a horse for a race.
Yeah,
no?
Yeah. And I mean, that scene in the beginning of the film when they have the medical and they examine his body. I mean, it is very similar to how you check a horse that you bought, and it's in the same way. It's a kind of a already there you can see a kind of dehumanization of the main character, which is true to the real life and the real experiences of the real life Martin Bengtsson, because it's based on a true story.
How did you work with Martin, with the real Martin? He's 34 years old now. I think he's a journalist, or maybe.
Yeah, he's a writer, and he no, it was actually, it goes quite a few years back, because when he released his autobiography In the Shadow of San Siro, he was only like 19 or 20, and that same spring I released my first novel, and I was 22, so we were kind of the kids on the book tour, and I had this wild dreams of becoming a filmmaker, and I was just about to make my first short film, so I had absolutely no possibility to put his story up on the big screen. But a drunk night out, we made a pact that he would say no to all the producers that have been offering him to buy, to option his book, and for him to wait for me till the point when I felt ready to make the film. And at that point, I kind of grew into a trilogy about sport and psychology. And so I've had, and also we became friends over the course of these years. So it's been actually it's been fantastic, in the sense that also he's been so extremely generous. I mean, the only rule he's had for me has basically been do what's best for the film. Do the best possible film. The artistic values are the most important. Change whatever you need to change. Do whatever you want, as long as it's feels true and helps the film.
That is so great, and so great that he waited for you, because I'm sure that he could have sold it earlier. So that shows his humanity.
Yeah, and he's he also, I mean, he wanted to get the film made the way I want to make it. So I think he wanted that kind of to make a film without compromises.
Trust is very important.
It is, and I think that also helped me a lot, because I felt that I was free to take whatever creative liberties I needed, which you obviously always have to do when you're making a film based on a true story. I mean, you need to make a film that is true, but in order to make it true, you sometimes need to change facts, and you need to work with metaphors and symbols, and and to make it even more true than reality in the sense.
What? Let me ask you. When it comes to the casting for the film, you knew that you had it very clear, or it was a long process?
I mean, I knew all along that with this kind of film, it would kind of make or break with the main character, with the main actor, because he's basically in almost in every shot of the film, and it's also a very young actor. So I didn't know who that would be, so I was very nervous to find that person. And I didn't know much about Erik Enge. I'd seen him a little in small roles, in like TV series in Sweden. He had not had this big breakthrough role at all. But when he came in to audition, he felt very interesting. He had this kind of fragility combined with a certain brutality that felt interesting.
And the intensity, he's very intense, and he can
Very
show. I mean, I totally believe in, I
Yeah,
thought he was Martin. I bought it. I bought it completely.
he's very intense, and it's also interesting because with this young with young actors, it's especially when they're not very experienced, you often cast someone who's very similar to the role to the role.
Character.
He's not at all. He's very far away from his character, so he really did a big character job. And I think also, I mean, it's also the fact that he was very skinny, so he didn't look like an athlete. That was very problematic at first. So I knew we had a long way to go physically, and he had a long way to go, I should say, because I wasn't the one being in
Right.
training for a year. He was, and so he put on 10 kilos of muscles, which is it's a lot. That's
Massive.
so yeah, so he made an enormous transition and a really big job, and like we really over that year kind of formed the character of Martin Bengtsson. So it's I mean, I think it's a massive breakthrough role for him.
I want to know, is your film the Swedish option for the Oscars?
Yes. So it's the official submission for the Oscars. Yes.
And are you excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited. So yeah, I'm right now here in LA, and campaigning for the film, and trying to make people aware of the existence of it. Yeah, it's very exciting. I mean, we've had a really nice festival tour with it, so with a lot of awards, but now it's nice to finally come to the US with it.
Yeah, also the Oscar campaign is a difficult one, because I guess the only thing you can do is to make sure that a big number of members or voters see the movie. You cannot shower them with
no, I mean, it's hard enough to just get people to see it. That's really the job, and then the film needs to speak for itself. I mean, but it's interesting. I mean, it feels like people like it.
On December 21st, we will know if you're on the short list.
Yeah. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
In this story, there is no room for failure, right?
No.
Failure is worse than dying, I guess.
Yeah.
I will be terrified to live in an environment like that.
Yeah. No, it's a brutal environment, and I think it's many ways similar to the world of cinema as well. I mean, that we're having this kind of idea that failing means dying, and I think it's an interesting angle on a young human being. I mean, he's in a very it's a tough situation. It's a precious situation. While at the same time, it was always important for me with this film to also capture him embracing life, because it's also a 16-year-old that have all his firsts. I mean, it's the first time he gets with a girl. It's the first time he moves away from home. It's the first time he drives a car. It's the first time he gets drunk. You know, it's also him, you know, exploring life while at the same time having this enormous pressure on his shoulders.
Being put in this really tough world that is all like being manipulated by this big corporate football guys. Are you a fan of football?
Yes, I'm a big fan of football, but I'm not a big fan of the football industry. That I would say is the difference. Yeah.
I understand, like the buying and selling and all that. I like the game, but yeah. So wait, and then how long are you going to be in LA promoting, or you're going back and then coming again, or?
I'm going on a little tour here where I was in London before, and now I'm here and in LA, and in a few days I'm going to New York. So and then, I mean, if it's shortlisted, then I guess I'm back. I will be back though, I think, because the film will be in Palm Springs in the festival there.
That's a great festival.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So I'm really happy to.
You're going to love it.
Yes, thank you, and happy to hear that. And it's going to be very interesting. So I'm you know, while at the same time, you know, I'm also working with the next film. So I'm trying to find the balance between the promoting and the writing.
The promoting and the writing. My last question: do you think that through movies can we change the perception of reality, or create empathy, or create
Yeah, I mean, I think most of all we can change how people look at the world. I think that's the main thing. I mean, especially, I mean, like when the European Championships in soccer was recently, there were so many people that had seen Tigers that said to me that they couldn't watch the games the same way that they used to, because suddenly they saw human beings on all these, with you know, behind the numbers.
of course.
And for me, that was, you know, I was really proud when I heard that, and I heard it over and over that people had that experience. And for me, that's one thing that cinema can do. It can push your you know, push how you look at things. And that is I think literature can do that too. And I think that's we're training our empathy.